Okay, we're up to Daf Samech Aleph Amid Beis. Samech Aleph Amid Beis is a very interesting shaila over here. We began the other day. We're going to Chazar Riba. Listen to this shaila. We had instances where a person ended up with more than one par. So, for example, if in one of the avodas, let's say they went lefnai lefnim, and the blood spilled in the middle, they're going to have to bring a new par. There's a machlokus in the sprinklings whether you have to reboot from number one, or you start where you left off. That's a machlokus. But clearly, you're going to have two parais. Now, the halacha is that this par is going to be burnt chutz lamachaneh, and the person who goes ahead and burns it, he will be tameh. Question: what is that? You limited to the last one that's being used as the gemara of the kapara, or would it extend to all of the parim? In other words, no matter how many you use, since they have a shaykhus to this mitzvah, they were geshachten on this purpose, would they go ahead and be burned chutz l'machne or not? Would they be put in the beis hasreifa? So that's the machlokes. And then we're going to have the same machlokes by the seir mishtaleach in a situation. Let's say by the seir, you shechted, you made a gairel, you shechted the goat spilled, you're going to have to bring another goat. As we're going to see tonight in the next parak, you're going to have to bring a new gairel. Thus, you're going to be adding on to, so you may have more than one seir mishtaleach. You shechted the goat, the dam spilled, you shechted another goat. But to shech the other goat, you had to have a new gairel. So you added on a second mishtaleach. Question: are you sending them both out or only one of them out? So this is the subject of till the end of the parak. Says the Gemara. Tanan Hassam. We're up to Samech Aleph on midbase, about 6 lines from the bottom. The Kulan and all these parim that you went ahead and you brought to go ahead and fulfill the zurika of a certain area, be it lefnai lefnim, the heichel or the mizbeach hazahav, right? Kulam mithamayim begodim v'nisrafim abeis hadeshen divrei Elazar Reb Shimon. These would all have the halacha of what of a parim nisrafim, right? And they'd all go and be burnt chutz lamachne. The chachamim ma'imrim ein mithamayim begodim v'nisrafim abeis hadeshen ela ha'achroin. Only the last one. Hoyel v'gomar boy kapara, since the Gemara was completed in this. If you think about it, fellas, it's l'shitasam. They're going according to the shita. Light Rebbe Elazar Reb Shimon, since you're going to begin the zrika from where you left off, nimsa, the first few zrikas of that par were part of the kapara. Now the second one is part of the kapara. So each one has a din of vad of param nisrafim. Masha'en Kain, according to Rav Meir, that's probably the Chachamim, the sheet of Rav Meir, that you're rebooting and starting again. Mimela, the kapara was only through the last one, and Mimela only the last one with the din of param nisrafim or siyum nisrafim, and only that would be burnt. The other one would be burnt with takmi puzzle, and it would be burnt probably in some other place, but not to be mekayim the halacha of what of the Yom Kippur. So unique din going the shita sam. Why 2 are counted, 1 not? Says the Gemara. Boy mine Rabba me Rav Nachman. Kama seirim mishaleach. How many seirim do you send out in a scenario when you're going to end up with more than one? As I spoke out, the dam spills. You're going to have to make a new gairol. And you're going to create a new par that's seir that's going to be brought inside. Now you have an extra mishaleach. How many are you going to send out? Right, 1 or 2. So. You're going to send out a whole herd of them? Are you going to go ahead and burn a whole herd of them? In other words, just like you're burning more than one, so too you can be sending out more than one. Says the Gemara, no, midami, they're not comparable. Hasam over there by the Siyum, Hanisrafim, like Siv. It doesn't say Isai, it. However, Hacha by the same Mishaleach, Kesiv, L'shaleach oisoy la'azazel, to send it la'azazel, mashma it, only one and not more than one. So therefore, despite the fact that Rav Elazar Shimon hold by the parim or the seirim, you'd be burning more than one, by the same shaleach, since it says l'shaleach oisoy la'azazel, you'd only go ahead one and send out one. Itmar, Rav Papi Mishmei the Rava Amar, Risha Mishaleach, no, only the first one. Rav Shimi Mishmei the Rava Amar, no, Achra Mishaleach, the last one you send out. Now in Svara, which one do you hear? You hear the Achrain. That's the one that's going to accompany the par, that the seir that was used inside. It would make sense that the seir that is being sent would be the companion of the one that's brought inside. So Bishleim Rav Shimi Mishmei the Rava Amar Achra Mishaleach Ksava Since the Gama Kapara was done with its parallel, with its twin through the gyro, and that's being mechaper inside, that's the one you'll send Lazazel. Papi Mishmei Derava, Mike Savar. Why does he hold? That you're going to go ahead and bring the first one. And for the Gemara Sava Kreb Yaisi, the Omar mitzvah berishain. So Rabbi Yossi says there's a mitzvah berishain. The question is, where exactly do we see him say this then? That there's a mitzvah berishain. Fred the Gemara, hi Rabbi Yossi. Which Rabbi Yossi are we speaking about? Elam Rabbi Yossi, the kupois, Rabbi Yossi of shkolim frame. Just to reiterate, remember they would collect the shkolim, they'd put them in the lishkas of coins. They would go ahead 3 times a year. They would separate baskets, right? That shalish kupois shel shalish soyin shebehen tarmin. They'd have 3 baskets. That each one holding 6 saw, 3 saw. The Tanya Rabbi Yossi lo mekasav lein aleph beis gimel. Why was it written upon an aleph beis gimel? Leida ezamehen nitra merishain. In order to go ahead and tell you which one the coins have been separated first. Lahavi menu rishain. That you should go ahead and bring from the by karbanis from that one first. Shem mitzvah berishain. That mitzvah was berishain. So we wanted to tell the fact that you're going ahead and shkolim, you're taking the first basket. There's a mitzvah rishon. So who would it over here? The mitzvah would be with the first seir mishtalech. Says the Gemara, it's a big difference. Dilma beidna des chazoi kamaisa, lo yis chazoi basraisa. Over here, the second one wasn't in existence while the first one was. So therefore, the whole chalois was in the first basket. So therefore, you take the first one. Masha'enkin over here, the first one, the latter one is you're getting a kapara in the latter one. So maybe over here, where they're both in existence, you bring the latter one. So that's not a good sushtel. El Rabbi Yossi the Pesach. It's Rabbi Yossi of Pesach. The Tanya we learned in the Brisa. Hamafish pischoi, person's mafish separates his carbon Pesach. The ovad, and he loses it. The hifish has achatachtam, and then he finds the other one. And he finds it in this man where it's a dinner on both to be a carbon Pesach. The achach nimsarisha, and then he finds the first one. Right, shneim oimdim, they're both in front of us now. Ezemehem shiyir tziyakar, whichever one he wants to be makriv, divrei chachamim. Rabbi Yossi Yom mitzvah berishain. So too over here, you have 2 seir mishtalechim standing in front of us. Whichever one you want to do, no. Just like over here by the Korban Pesach, the mitzvah is in the first one. So too over here, late Rapapi, the mitzvah is in the first one because he also like Rabbi Yossi. However, mimenu, if the second one was mufchar more chosen than it, then you should go ahead and bring the second one. Now we basically finished the avodah of Yom Kippur. We just have to go ahead now and fill in on a few loose ends. We decided the Goyrel way before. Again, the Goyrel was done after the Vido. It was done early on. But what about the purchase of these goats? There's 2 goats, and what's in the goats? There's certain halachos, which the Mishnah is going to discuss. Then we're going to get into the problem of, let's say one of the goats is gone. Do you have to make a second goyrel? And we're going to get into the whole shaila of Bali Chaim Nidachim. It appears throughout Shas very often. If something's out of the ballpark, can it go in the ballpark? If it's out of the ballpark initially, can it go back in the ballpark? This is subject of this parak. It's Yisayidistik Machloikis that appears throughout Shas. Anyway, let's get to the new parak. Shnei Sir Yom Kippurim, the 2 Sir of Yom Kippur, mitzvasan sheyu shneim shavim. They should be equal. In what should they be equal? Bimare, they should look alike. Ubekaima, they should have the same height. Ubedamim, and they should have the same value. Ubelchichasan ka'echad, and you should purchase them all at once. Either a person buying 2 at the same time from the same agent, or one agent buying from 2 at the same time. However, none of these are ma'akiv. The fact that if they wouldn't look alike, if they wouldn't be the same size, if they would have different value, b'di'eved, that would be good. But it's a mitzvah to go ahead and they should have the same value, the same size. and look alike. So afal pi shein shavim ksherim. Lokach echad hayoim ve'echad l'machar. So, for example, if you purchase them at two separate times, then what? Then it's the ksherim. If you purchase them at two separate times, they'll be kosher. Meis echad mehem. If one of them dies, now this is the introduction to a very interesting sugya. If one of them dies, im actually higrel meis. So you bought two, you didn't do the goyrel yet, and one of them dies. What do? Yikach sug l'sheni. Just bring a second one, right? Just bring a second one. You don't have to do it no goyrel. Just bring another one, and now you have two, and you put the goyrel on those two.
The same or
yeah, I guess you would try to make them the same. You'd be yaitza. Right. Yeah, again, you can't purchase them together, but again, it's to the extent to make them look alike, the same in kaima and value. Of course, you try to fill the mitzvah as best as one could. The immishehigrol mace, however, once you did the goyrel, one of them dies. Then listen to this, guys. Yavi zug acher, you bring a second set. V'yagril aleim batchila, and you make a new goyrel. V'yomer. Imshel shemes, if the one that died from the first set was the one that goes to Hashem, zeh sha'olav olav goyrel l'Shem yiskayim tachvav. In the second goyrel, the one that will fall on it, the shem, should go ahead and take the place of the first one. The imshel azazel mes, and if the azazel died, zeh sha'olav olav goyrel azazel yiskayim tachvav should take its place. The hasheni, and the second one, Yiroa actually sheyistov, you should go ahead and it goes ahead and grazes. It goes ahead and grazes. V'yimacher v'yiplu damav l'nedava. Okay, so let's see Rashi here. V'hasheni im shel azazel meis v'yachshav yesh kan shnayim l'shem echad. You have two l'shem shenisham mizug rishayin uvechad mizug sheni ve'echad yiskaper v'hasheni yiroha. The chenim shel shem meis variyesh kan shnayim azazel ha'echad yishtaleach v'hasheni yiroha uv'gomar refirish eze sheni im sheni shebezug sheni im sheni sheberishan. Okay, this is the question that's at the end. Very geschmack, guys. Watch. I have two kabbanis initially, two goats. Let's say the one of the shem drops dead. It's gone. Now I have an azazel. I'm bringing now two more, and I go ahead now and I replace the shem. So now I have one shem and I have two azazels. One azazel from the original and a second azazel from the second goyrel. So the din is the sheni, it goes ahead. The second one, it goes ahead, and you're gonna, instead of it grazes, and it gets a mum, and then you're gonna go ahead and put it in the pushka. The money you're gonna put in to the kaitzlim mizbeach l'nedava. That's the halacha of chatos shemesa, chatos that died, right? This is a chatos shekipru ba'aleha. We have 5 chatas. We know this by heart. Chatas shemesa ba'aleha. That's only by a carbon yachid. By a carbon siba, the halacha Moshe Messina doesn't apply, and therefore this would be halacha of chatas shekipur ba'aleha. You're going to get a kapara, right? So now the question at hand is that Gemara is going to address. It just says the second one. Which one of the second? The second of the first, or the second of the second goyrel? The Gemara is going to discuss that.
I would think it's question the second one, because why would you then just use the first?
Because maybe you need a whole goyrel on both of them. So since you're bringing the second one, yeah, right. Could be that Bali Chaim Nidochin. This gets into the Shaila, guys. Maybe the Bali Chaim Nidochin. In other words, since the first one died, the second one now is Nidcha, and therefore you bring the whole second pair. That's the Shaila of a live animal being out of the ballpark. In other words, they have to be together. Once in this case, this one died, so this one is now out, and therefore you bring the second one, or no. That's going to be the Shaila in the Gemara. So it's a Lamdish Shaila. So it's a beautiful, it's such a wonderful Masech, and you're finishing with a tremendous Lamdis in Kachim. V'asheni yirad sheyistoyev, v'yimchu v'yiplu damav l'nedava. She'ein chatas tziba mesa, the chatas tziba doesn't die. In this scenario, the carbon yachid would die. However, now, not. V'oidam Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda disagrees, and Amid Thomas, Rabbi Yehuda says it dies. It dies, even by what? By carbon tziba. V'oidam Rabbi Yehuda. Nishpach Adam, Yomas Mishtaleach. Mesa Mishtaleach, Yishpach Adam. In other words, he says it's out of the ballpark. In other words, in our scenario, guys, if this one dies, this one also dies. That's it, you kill it. If this one, the blood spills, this one, out. You're out. That's it. You can't go ahead. Says the Gemara. Tanrabana. The pasuk says, "Umeis adas bnei Yisrael yikach shnei sireizim lechatos v'ayil echad leoila." And from bnei Yisrael, you should purchase 2 goats lechatos v'ayil echad leoila. Now, seirim is mashma, seirei is mashma goats. So why would you have to say shnei, shnayim? In other words, why are you saying 2? If you in English you say the word birds, right? You say 2 birds. So very good in English when you say 2 birds, but if you'd say get the birds, you know it's 2. So in English it's not a problem grammatically, but the Torah that doesn't waste words, why is it necessary to tell us 2 if you can ascertain from the word sirei? So it's extra for a drasha. We will have 3 drashas based upon the same concept of the use of the word shnei or shnayim when you use the plural, as we're going to see. Tanrabana. Yikach shnei sireizim. Now, miyat sirei shnayim. The most minimal amount of sirim is 2. Ma tamad loyma shnei. Why do you have to say 2? Sheyu shneim shavim. It's to teach us this halacha that the Mishnah stated that they should be shnayim. They should be of equal. Minayin afa pishen shneim shavim ksherim. How do we know if they're not equal, they are kosher? How do we know it's not ma'akiv? Talmud Laimar, it says seir. The pasuk psukim there in Achrei Mos, it says the word seir twice. To be marba any which way, even if they're not equal, you're okay. Taima the Rabbi Rachmana. The reason why you're okay and it's not ma'akiv is because the Torah has a ribui to include it. Meaning, without the ribui, I would think it's ma'akiv. Haloi Rabbi Rachmana, without the Torah saying seir, havamina psulim, I would say they'd be possible if they don't look alike, or they're not the same value or the same height. Minolon, where would you have such a havamina? Like we always say, the Torah only has to tell me something that I wouldn't know otherwise. In other words, without the word shnayim, without that ribui, shnei, seir, without that ribui, I would think it's ma'akiv. Why would you think that? It says it 3 times. Ksiv. Now, anytime it says shnei, anytime it doubles down, right? It doubles down, it's to be ma'akiv. So since it says it more than once, I would say it's ma'akiv. Hamuloima seir timarbe that it's not ma'akiv. Fred the Gemara v'hashta the Rabbi Rachmana seir sheni lam. Melissa Taka, what do I need it for? Since you are being marba, why did the triple lashon? It says chad lemare, one to teach me they should look alike. The chad l'kaima, they should be the same height. The chad l'domim, and one they should have the same value. So we have the fact that it says shnei, it says it's marba, seir in all scenarios. But we have a limud in the Torah that they should look alike. Hanyanami hachi, we have the same limud, guys, by the Mitzayra. The Mitzayra on the day, if he's rich, he brings 2 males and 1 female. 2 male, one the female is a chatas, one male is an oila, and 1 male is our osham that we described in the last parak with the loik shemen. Good. So it says over here, it says by the Mitzayra, the exact lashon of the pasuk is ubayom hashmini yikach shnei kvasim tmimim v'kafsa achas. Why do you have to say shnei kvasim? Just say kvasim, and I would know 2. So we're going to have a similar limud. So it says yikach shnei kvasim miyat kvasim. What's the minimal amount of sheep when it says sheep? Kvasim is shnayim. Matam eloim shnei sheyu shneim shavim. They also should be equal. Uminayin shafa pishein shneim shavim kisherim. Tam eloimar. It says keves riboy. The same thing. Like by the goat we had seir riboy. By the mitzvah we have keves riboy. We have the same riboy over there. Time with the Rabbi Rachmana. The reason because the Torah goes ahead one and includes it. Holei Rabbi Rachmana havamina psulim. I would say ikuva a psulim a puzzle. Okay, without the riboy there'd be puzzle. Again, the same question. Where would have a havamina that they should be puzzle that you need the riboy to be what marbe ikuva minalon sakadat minon. It says tiya. It says zois tiya. Torah samet zois tiya. Tiya is like a chayk, a zoidav zayin. I would think siv. Now, and to Kamash Malon, the riboy of keves, that's okay. Bahashta the Rabbi Rachmana kevesh kevesh tia lamali. Why does the word tia teach me? L'shara v'yasham mitzayra, that all the other mitzayras have to be. So in the Torah of mitzayra outside the machmeh, there are tutsi purim, and there's a high step in shnisei las. All of these would be ma'akiv. Regarding the size, regarding the looking alike, that's not ma'akiv. Regarding everything else, it would be ma'akiv because it says zois tia azoy dav zayin. It has to be. Again, going along with a very nice Gemara, that's very, especially on a Motzei Shabbos and a late Motzei Shabbos, right? Says the Gemara, the Tanya Nami Hachi Mitzayra Ki Agavna. Again, the Mitzayra on the 8th day of his Torah is bringing Kavasim. 8 days earlier, he was Chutz Lamachne, the Kohen brought 2 birds. One bird he shechted, one was alive. He took a Hais V'Shnilas, he sprinkled the blood on Mitzayra. Good? So now it says, V'tziva Kohen v'lokach limitayr shnei tziporim chayos. Tahayros. Now, why it says tziporim? That's again plural. Tziporim miyot tziporim is shtayim. It should say shtayim. Matam elem is shtei. Sheyu shteim shavis. They should be equal. Uminayin shafal be shein shavis k'sheiros. Tamad leimar tzipor riboy. Taimod the Rabbi Rachmana. The reason why it's kosher is the Torah is marba. Halay Rabbi Rachmana psulois ikuva minalan. Where would you have a havamina that's be possible that you need a riboy? So hasakadai dechamina tihi eksiv. Again, it says leis Torah mitzayra. I would say regarding this as well. It has to be that they're exactly the same, and if they're not, it's no good. Kamash malon sipur tzipor. Hahash the rechmona tzipor tia lamali. And for the Gemara, the same teretz we gave the shara vayisham mitzayra. All the other vayisham mitzayra. Ihachi gabi tamidim nami. If you're telling me this limud where it says double, and it says shnayim, why does it say by what? By the korban tamid? It says, "V'zeh shetase al hamizbeach kivosim b'nei shana shnayim liyom tamid kivosim b'nei shana shnayim liyom tamid." Once you said kivosim, why do you have to say shnayim liyom tamid? Kivosim miyut kivosim shnayim. Not tamid like not shnayim. Sheyu shneim shavin. Minayin shaf b'shein shavin ksherin tamid like kevesh riba. Well, the mitzvah hachanami debi'inan, right? So kevesh riba. That kevesh midash and that riboy, that to put them all together, that they should be equal. So says the Gemara, what does that mean? We need that they should be same. Where do you find where do you find it should be the same that you need the riboy? Kevesh riboy. Mitzvah hachanami debi'inan. Do we take a need that they should be alike? Nowhere does it say it should be alike. By all the other places, it should be alike. By korban tamid, we don't find it should be alike. So what do we use the word shnayim for? Guys, through every single limud we have over here, we use the word shnayim, they should be alike, lichatchila. Over here, it says the word shnayim, and nowhere does it say over here that the sheep of the korban tamid have to be alike. So why is this different? Why do I use the shnayim for? And for the Gemara, humi boyele lichatanya, shnayim layoim. I need the 2 should be opposite the day. Kineged ayoim. What does that mean? Kineged ayoim. Maybe it's only that you have to bring 2 each day. How do you know that it has to be geshacht and opposite the day? Maybe it's to bring 2 every day. It says where it says openly that you're going to bring 1 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon. Obviously, it's not shnayim. It's teaching me that 2 a day. That would include the chayvus of the day. It has to be opposite the day. Now, what does it mean opposite the day? Now, we're all familiar that opposite the Mizbeach HaZahav, Mizbeach HaNechoshes, there was rings in the north. There were 24 rings, 4 rows of 6 alike. On the second row, right, you're going to have the northeast and northwest. So in the morning, when the sun's in the east, it's going to be in the northwest. In the evening, when it's in the west, it's going to be in the northeast. It has to be Keneged Ayoim. You're shechting it over there. Says the Gemara, Ketzad, Tamid Shal Shacher, the morning Shacher is Nishchat, Al Keren, Sfoinis Maravis, on the west, northwest, because the sun's in the east, which wear Al Tabash Shnia, on the rings of the second row. The Rashi has a reason for that. And when the sun is in the west, it was shechted in the northeast. Al tabash shnia on the second one. However, musafim shal Shabbos vaday tzrichim sheyu shneim shavim. On Shabbos, the musafim they had to go ahead and be equal. And over there, the taka had to be equal. By the Korban Musaf, they had to look alike. And it's not the Korban Tamid, but the Musaf had to look alike. Had to look alike. Let's see Rashi in that point. Umusaf shel Shabbos shenema behen shnei kvasim. It says there shnei kvasim vaday shnaim shavim liikuva. Midaloi chodak siv behu echad l'rabbis afapin shein shavim lahafshir kach shemati. Bekashli ikuvim minolan v'nir beinai. Musafim vaday shnayim lemitzvah mitzvahs liyashavim. The mitzvahs they should be equal. Okay, and we're not going to the rest. So again, just simply they should be equal. If they're not equal, it's okay. Okay, we'll stop over here, and Bez Hashem tomorrow.